Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to us here on BSing Sports. That wonderful music that was brought to you by Orphan Rivers is so soothing to lead off our show. Again, we are BSing Sports, the original affiliate of BSing Network. If you haven't checked it out yet, it's because there's not much to check out, but let it be known that we are a network and we are, in fact, getting things going. As Ryan said at the end of our last show, the last show I did with Ryan, we got big things coming, and they are going to continue to come. But again, BSing Sports on BSing Network. We're going to be talking today about the World Series, but we're not kidding here. We're going to talk about the Phillies.
Tim, look happy, dude. Like, damn, you just look so mad.
That's how I look, man. I'll tell you.
Yeah, you look like a Yankees fan, dude.
Damn. No, I'm definitely a Phillies fan, man. Definitely that.
All right.
Yeah, if only the dome was closed.
Yeah. All right, let's hop right into this real quick. Ryan, why don't you kick us off, buddy?
So we got the World Series here between your Philadelphia Phillies and
my
Astros,
jersey's downstairs. I'm not going to go
and
get
the
it.
Houston Astros. This is going to be a good series, man. The worst thing that could have happened for the Phillies, though, was this long break. In my opinion, this is a team that barely scraped into the playoffs. They got hot at the right time. Arguably, if you talk to certain Cardinals fans, it was fueled by the Cardinals' mistakes in that ninth inning that we also remember in Game 1 of the wild card round. But this is a team that's just purely riding momentum, it seems like. And, to be on the layoff for 5 days, that's going to kill momentum for sure. You look at the number one seeds the bye teams in each league. They had no momentum going into their game, and 3 out of 4 of them lost in the first round. So momentum was on the Phillies side here. I think Houston is clearly the better team, but I'm hoping that the energy in the city, just the hype of being in the World Series can definitely, keep the spirits elevated, people talking about it, the posts, the songs, the radio shows. I'm hoping that just there's a general buzz that can keep that hype and that momentum going.
Tim?
Yeah, man. Like Ryan said, 5 days.
You sound so much better today, Timmy.
I finally got set up with a nice little mic my lovely wife gave me for our anniversary coming up next week. And apparently I had a camera in my house that was hidden that gets found the other day. So it works out. But like Ryan said, the 5-day break might hurt the Phillies to begin with, maybe Game 1. But I think Austin Nola good enough to hold up. I'm sorry, Aaron Nola. Wow.
Austin Nola's at home sitting on his couch.
Watching Aaron Nola, you're right.
The Nola parents are the biggest winners here, but
yeah, I think Nola is good enough to keep them in the game and for us to wake up in the ninth inning again, like they did against the Cardinals, maybe. Or maybe the 5 days actually helped them out, wake up all the bats, a lot of infield and outfield practice, a lot of batting practice. So who knows? I guess we have to wait and see until tomorrow. What you got, Bill?
Yeah, I mean, for me, Ryan said something that really stood out in the entire the great description of the World Series that he said. He said, the Astros on paper are clearly a better team. Well, I got news for you fans. The Braves on paper are clearly a better team than the Phillies. The Padres on paper are a better team than the Phillies. And I would convincingly say that the Cardinals are probably just as equal to the Phillies. We talk about it. We've talked about it all year long with the Phillies. Hey, just get in. Get hot at the right time. Just get in. And the Phillies have shown that. And listen, Ken Brandt said something that I was going to bring up here next. You've got your 2 aces going against 2 of their aces in Houston, and Justin Verlander has not looked good this postseason. So you've got Aaron Nola facing off with Justin Verlander, and if you steal a win in Houston, this is a completely different series. Because the Phillies, for those of you who don't know, are undefeated at home in the postseason.
I don't know.
I think that continues. Listen, I realize that Ranger isn't on the level of Lance McCullers. I realize that Noah Syndergaard isn't as good as Christian Javier, but it's not as bad as I feel like we've treated it. Ranger came in and got obviously the last 2 outs against the Padres on 2 pitches. He's pitching with confidence, which is a big deal going into these games. Noah Syndergaard shut down a good Braves lineup for 3 straight innings, and we questioned why he was pulled. Do I think that the Astros are a better team than the Braves? Yes. However, I don't think that they're above and beyond better than the Braves. No, I mean the Braves beat them last year in the World Series. It's all about getting hot. It's all about getting hot. And I think right now the Phillies. I realize that the Phillies lost 2 games in the postseason, and the Astros have swept both teams that they've played. But for me, the Phillies are hot at the right time. They've got that whole Cinderella destiny thing going on, and it's exciting. It's so exciting to be a Philly sports fan right now. We haven't felt like this in 11 years, and God, it just feels freaking great.
Yeah,
Sorry
I mean,
about
Justin
that, yeah.
Verlander got tagged up in his first postseason start, gave up 6 earned in 4+ innings, but he did come back to go 6 innings, 1 earned against the Yankees, who have their own issues in their own right. We'll talk about the Yankees in the offseason show because this is a World Series show where the Yankees are not. I got to say, as a Phillies fan, I am more nervous for the Houston Astros than I am for any other opponent that we've faced this postseason. One, because the momentum is slowed a little bit. You know, it's not game after game after game after game, like I already alluded to. And the second piece is the Houston Astros. Yes, the other teams were better on paper than the Philadelphia Phillies. The Houston Astros are better than those teams, and they are playing better than those teams. I don't know if you guys have heard this stat yet. Their bullpen has, in 33 innings in the postseason, has given up 2 earned runs, both of which I think actually are given up by Hector Neris, funny enough. But that bullpen is unlike anything the Phillies have seen before, and this is tough for the Phillies, man. This is going to be really.
Did you
tough.
make an adjustment to your mic when you muted yourself? Because now there's an echo.
Did I know? But Timmy just came off of mute and then it started.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, Tim. Yeah.
Is that better?
Better?
Yeah, it's no. It's
I don't
just a
hear
little
that.
dim.
It's all right. We'll deal with it. The statistics on Ryan's comment about the Astros bullpen being absolutely lights out.
So, and then the next piece to that is you look at the aces. Yeah, they square up. You look at Justin Verlander and Aaron Nola go into game 1. We can debate whether Aaron Nola is actually an ace or not at this point. I'm going to say yes. If you look at the trajectory of who he's been compared to for most of his career and the fact of Cole Hamels, Cole Hamels didn't have those fantastic low 2 ERA regular seasons. However, what Cole Hamels has done very well throughout his career, or did very well throughout his career, was pitch fantastic in October. And outside of one start, Nola's done just that. So to me, you can comfortably say at this point that Aaron Nola is probably an ace, especially with the way, starting pitchers get used in baseball nowadays. But you can go toe-to-toe, Wheeler, Nola, Verlander, and I'm assuming they're going to go Javier for game 2. But, man, after that, I don't care if it's a bullpen game or Ranger, McCullers is good. And McCullers has pitched in World Series. That's going to be the issue, is that the Astros are 3 deep in their rotation. And should they so desire, they can easily go out there on – yeah, just mute yourself for right now, Tim. The Houston Astros can go out there and run those guys out on 3 days rest and – no problem. To me, the starting rotations, I'm not as nervous about the bullpen. I think the Phillies bullpen is a little bit better than people give it credit for. But to me, the starting rotations there after the first 2, huge drop off. I mean, the Astros just have us beaten every way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Listen, I don't disagree with any of those comments. They are significantly deeper in the rotation. We obviously have the 2 huge horses coming out of the bullpen. That was like the big story for the Padres. We know as Phillies fans, Fox was absolutely just all over the Padres in a good way. I don't want to say something super derogatory, but Fox broadcasting was all over the Padres in a very good way and kind of sort of putting down the Phillies. And they were surprised. There's no denying that either A, they didn't want the Phillies to win, or B, they were just surprised by the outcome. Because again, and I said this before, on paper, the Padres had a better team. They went out at the deadline. They made a lot of big acquisitions where the Phillies went and got Brandon Marsh and Noah Syndergaard. They were different. We've got, like I said, the 2 big horses out of the bullpen in Alvarado and Sir Anthony Dominguez. Everybody else has kind of struggled. We've got the 2 aces, obviously, as you pointed out, Nola and Wheeler. They're just deeper, the Astros are. You're talking the Astros bullpen 2022 postseason, to Ryan's point earlier. 33 innings pitched, 0.2 ERA, 0.73 whip, and 42 total strikeouts.
These dudes
That's a shutdown bullpen.
These dudes are next level good.
Yeah. and they're pitching next level good. I'll trade you. Thanks. It's exciting to watch. I did watch a couple of those Yankees games because obviously they were what were on at the time. And the Astros, they're good. Point like flat out. Now, having said that, they've given up more than 4 runs in 3 postseason games. That bodes well for the Phillies if they can be during the Wheeler and Nola games. And I really think you're going into Houston. You're starting the series against Verlander, who, yes, to Ryan's point, did kind of figure it out there in his second postseason start. And his third one, he wasn't terrible either. But if you can get on him early, if you can get on him early, that rattles Justin Verlander. It really does. If you can get a first inning run, make him throw 20, 25 pitches, manufactured run, not a Schwarber leadoff home run, because you can put that out of your mind real quick. If you tag him a few times, and you get on him a little bit, you get 1, maybe 2 runs, but make him throw 20, 25 pitches, that really throws Verlander out of his rhythm. And that could bode really well for the Phillies. Now, having said that, obviously, if the reverse thing happens to Nola, we're really in trouble.
Now, this does play a little well for the Phillies in the fact that the Houston offense has not produced really a whole lot this postseason, even against some of the weaker pitchers. The offense has actually looked a lot like the Phillies, except I think the Phillies have kind of elevated it a little higher. It's all about timely hitting. I mean, you go up and down the Phillies lineup, all you see are a bunch of dudes hitting 200, and then there's Bryce Harper with his 400 batting average. I mean, these guys are just getting hits at the right time. And that's something that we didn't see from the Phillies offense in the regular season. I mean, they got their first bases loaded, I think, hit in September. So this team, for the most part, throughout the season had struggled with those clutch hitting situations, and we are seeing a ton of it here in the postseason. So that to me is the best matchup of this series, is the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning Houston Astros pitching versus the Phillies offense, because that's when the Phillies offense has produced at the highest rates at the best times, is when they needed to. And as we touched on, Houston Astros bullpen is a different beast.
Now, let's not act like going into the Padres series, the Padres bullpen wasn't a different beast, because they were. That's all that anybody wanted to talk about, was how good the Padres bullpen was.
We cannot compare other teams to what the Houston Astros bullpen is. You can't mention any other team names with what the
going into the Phillies series, the Padres bullpen was as good.
One series. They played one series, a 3-game series. They played
2 series. Going into the NLCS, they played 2 series. The same thing that the Astros have played.
It's not even close to what the Astros are doing. Not even close.
Tim, are you ready to have some input?
Shouldn't be mentioned in the same sentence.
I don't know, to be honest. If it don't work, then
you sound great.
Hello.
You fixed it. Go. You're up.
Go.
We're talking about the Padres, right? I wasn't listening.
No, we're not. Apparently, we're not supposed to be talking about the Padres.
We're talking about how Bill just disrespected the Houston Astros bullpen.
No, what I was doing was making a comparison that was relative, because coming into the Phillies NLCS matchup, the Padres had played 2 series and their bullpen had been extremely lights out. It's all Fox talked about the entire time. They came into the Phillies series and they couldn't hold the Phillies down. 1. 2, the Astros have played 2 series and they looked super dominant. But like it's a comparable situation. Now, I'm not saying the Astros bullpen isn't better, because the Astros bullpen is better. I'm just saying that the Phillies have found ways to tag bullpens that are good.
Sure. And I'm not saying that they can't, but I'm saying to compare what the Padres' good bullpen was doing to the exceptional Astros bullpen is too different. We're talking about Citi Field, and then we're talking about Angel Stadium in Anaheim. Like, it's not even in the same zip code of good. These guys have given up 2 runs in 33 innings. The Padres didn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, the Astros have a good bullpen. I'm not saying they don't.
It's hard for me to say they're a good bullpen when Hector Neris is back there. I'm sorry, I'm saying it.
It's definitely better than the Padres. I mean, he's been pitching good all year long. He just didn't work out in Philly. Like, it happens.
That fucking guy.
But like Bill said, the Phillies always found a way to get runs against good pitchers in the bullpen somehow, some way. They always figure it out, and that's what's going to happen this series too, I think.
Let's not
I don't
forget
know.
they technically beat you Darvish twice.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the bullpen gave up.
Darvish also pitched well against them twice.
And the Phillies still found a way to win. That's my point.
I think the starting pitching did very well. I like Nola and Wheeler. I think if they'll split in Houston, they'll be okay. But that's down the road. Let's continue.
All right, who do we got? Game one, we got Verlander and Nola, right?
Also Nola.
Aaron Nola.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah,
Timmy,
how did you?
You did it too. I guess I have to do it at some point too, just giving it all out.
Let's break down the pitching between those two real quick. You got a very good, a very experienced pitcher, as in Justin Verlander.
Postseason experienced, yeah.
And Nola, who's coming right into it, coming back off of a bad game in San Diego, only pitching 4 1/3 innings. Giving up 6 runs, I think. You think he could back it up again?
Yeah. So listen, Aaron Nola has been statistically like this most of his career. He put 2 great starts together back to back in the first 2 series. But he's always been an up and down pitcher, right? He always pitches really, really good for a small amount of time, and then he has a bad game, and then he pitches really, really good. He had his bad game. I look for Aaron Nola to jump off the bench. He's going to be good.
I'd be hard pressed to see Aaron Nola have back-to-back shelled games like that at the same time. He has been sitting around for a while. That is why he's getting the game 1 start, 1 to get Zach Wheeler a little bit of extra rest, and 2 because it would just extend him, I think, out to 8 days rest or something like that. Let's talk about that for a second. Do you guys agree with that move to start Zach Wheeler game 2 and Aaron Nola game 1?
Yes, because Zach Wheeler, just take us by the numbers and everything, had been pitching better on 5 days rest instead of 4.
For me, I got a slightly different answer, and I don't know if you guys are going to agree with it. Listen, if Aaron Nola comes out tomorrow night and wins, I think Ranger Suarez should start game 2. I think Zach Wheeler should get the home start Sunday afternoon on, 7 days rest at that point in time. For me, that's how I would set it up, only if Aaron Nola comes out and wins. If he doesn't, then you need to split in Houston. Flat out, you need to split. You send Wheeler to the mound.
I see where you're going with that. However, there's already going to be enough energy in Citizens Bank Park, and I would feel a million times more comfortable having Zach Wheeler go into Houston and pitch and then let Ranger at least have the home crowd back him up. I feel like Wheeler can handle the crowd in Houston a lot better than Ranger could. And it's not as much of a necessity to have, Wheeler out there, pumping the guys. I mean, Citizens Bank Park's going to, burn to the ground anyway after game 3, 4, and 5. I see what you're saying, but for me, I think it's interesting. It makes sense with the way that Rob Thompson has used the starting pitchers to this point. He's very reluctant to have them go on any kind of short rest. So I think it makes sense. However, this does put Zach Wheeler in line to start game 6, where he would be completely unavailable game 7 at that point in time because it would be a back-to-back day. So
that's a very good point.
That's what scares me the most. Now, obviously, I hope it doesn't go to game 7. I hope it doesn't even go to game 5. I hope the Phillies sweep, but that's just not a realistic expectation. And thinking down the road, that's what concerns me about it.
Listen, we talked about how the rest days really might hurt Philly. It could hurt the Astros too. It could definitely hurt them with their hitting. Their hitting is hot.
It didn't
actually
seem that way.
Their hitting has not been that good this
It was a pitching, right? The pitching has been decent. Really good, actually.
So they obviously had the 5-day rest because who was it? The Mariners and Blue Jays went 3 games, so they had the extra days rest then too. And then they come out. And
Mariners and Blue Jays didn't go 3 days. 3 games.
Mariners swept.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought they went 3 games.
I mean, the Astros still had like 6 days off or something like that, and then came out and they didn't stomp Seattle. Seattle got the best of them until like the 7th inning when the Astros exploded. But
exactly.
Yeah, that Jordan Alvarez home run. Yeah,
I got an interesting stat for you guys. So Aaron Nola, in his 0 career World Series innings pitched, has a 0 ERA. Justin Verlander has 7 starts in the World Series. He's 0-6 with a 5.68 ERA.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Justin Verlander sucks in the World Series.
He's 0-6 in 7 career starts in the World Series with an ERA over 5.5.
Well, let's make it 0-7 with an ERA over 10.
That
Well, I mean,
that would be a little ridiculous.
you're,
But
you're talking tagging him for 10 runs in 3 innings. Like, that's not happening.
I mean, true, could have the World Series, but still, let's score some runs on him.
His home runs
Listen,
per 9 innings
this is what I'm.
jumps massively in the World Series. I mean, maybe he gets the jitters out. I mean, I don't know. You wouldn't expect that from him, but that's a lot. I mean, here are his stats the rest of the series. In the CSs for his career, he's got a 3.01, and then in the DSs for his career, he's got a 3.08. So his ERA jumps over 2.5 points in the World Series. That's not a coincidence.
It also, going into the playoffs this season, it jumped. So if he went from a 175 in the regular season to a 308 in the NLDS, already it's the jitters.
That's his career. I mean, his career ERA in the regular season is, let's see, his career ERA in the regular season is 3.24. So in the first 2 series, he's actually better slightly than in the regular season. Then in the World Series, he just falls apart.
It gotta be the jitters, man.
It could be.
You got to talk into the mic, Tim.
I got
that.
it.
And Justin Verlander has been ridden for most of his career, and you got to think at that point when he's pitching in the World Series, he's probably got close to 300 innings on his arm during the season. That's not the case here. So,
yeah, he's tired. I mean,
but that's an alarming stat. I mean, that the track record shows that Justin Verlander is due for another loss because he hasn't won a World Series game in his career.
Which starts out really good for the Phillies. Again, Aaron Nola is going to come out, and I firmly believe this. I really do. He's going to pitch into the 7th easy, from much like he did against Lance McCullers to clinch the postseason a couple weeks ago. I think Nola has a similar outing. I really do. I think the Phillies put 4 on the board, and that's enough. So yeah, I'm calling a victory tomorrow night for Aaron Nola. I'm a little more hesitant for game 2, but I've got Aaron over Justin tomorrow night, and I had that even before you told me those World Series stats.
Yeah, I agree, just because of the simple fact that I'm not betting on Aaron Nola to get roughed up like that 2 times in a row. Combine that with the fact that he did go 6 2/3, I believe. He only gave up 2 hits to clinch the postseason berth for the Phillies. I think that all the stars are kind of aligning to win game 1, and it's probably a cliche statement at this point. It's such a crucial game to have, especially for the Phillies being on the road. If you can go ahead and get game 1, especially as an undefeated team at home in the postseason, it completely changes the tide of the series.
Fun fact.
I predict that. Now, like game 2, I'm going to pump the brakes on a little bit. I think Zach Wheeler, hope to God this doesn't happen. I think Zach Wheeler's kind of due to get a little banged up a little bit, but the Astros haven't hit well this postseason, so they're kind of relying on some timely hitting, and Zach Wheeler's eating teams alive in the postseason. So game 2, I'm a little hesitant on, but it still looks like it plays well for the Phils.
Fun fact, the Phillies won their first game in every series so far in this 2022.
And lost game 2 in all but the Cardinal series. That's just something we got to talk about, right?
Zach Wheeler hasn't pitched any of those game 2s. Zach Wheeler's pitched all the game 1s.
No, he lost to the Braves. Zach Wheeler lost.
Oh, yeah, Zach Wheeler did pitch the game 2 in the Braves. Yep.
Yeah,
which should have been an error by Hoskins.
Yeah,
should have been an error by
should
Hoskins.
have lost the game for the Braves series, but whatever.
Yeah,
that was some BS. That shit needs to be ruled an error.
Oh, no doubt.
100%. If that's ruled an error, he's given up 1 earned run.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's good postseason pitching too.
Yeah,
for the first time ever being in postseason.
So, how do you guys feel about like the way that Rob Thompson's managed the pitching staff and the bullpen this postseason? I mean, it's all worked, but to me, some of these moves that he's making, it's like we're not talking about it because it's worked, but the one time it doesn't, I feel like Thompson's kind of setting himself up here to get crucified.
So here, go ahead, Tim. You go first. Ryan and I have monopolized this.
So Ryan was here last week. We talked about it a little bit, and I made small comments like here and there. Why this dude coming in? Why that dude? And he agreed with me. Like for instance, I think it was Noah Syndergaard coming in the 6th. He should have came out in the 7th. And Alvarado in the 8th, and
that was such a weird game, man. Like we all expected Syndergaard to come out after falter, and he just didn't come out the first 5. I That's one of them ones that I'm specifically talking about. If that didn't work out, Rob Thompson would have had to answer 100,000 questions. But you know what? It worked out, so nobody's really talking about it.
I mean, let's talk about how many home runs and doubles and singles I called during that game. I was on fire with those calls, man.
He didn't call anything. Don't let him fool you.
We don't. That's not what we're here to talk about. The specific game you guys are talking about, Game 4, I believe it was, where Falter started rather than Noah Syndergaard. We questioned Syndergaard not starting to begin with. He goes to Falter. Falter gets 2 outs and then gets rocked for 4 runs. He immediately pulls him. I think the game plan originally was Falter get us through the lineup once, maybe give up 1 or 2 runs. Then we bring Syndergaard in for once through the lineup and hope the offense can maintain that. Because if you can get Syndergaard to go through the lineup once, you're thinking maybe 5 innings, and then you can go to your guys like, I mean, you don't really have anybody who's pitching well in a bullpen outside of Alvarado and Dominguez. However, Eflin could probably eat 2 innings, and he's pitched well enough to pitch 2 innings. And that could have got you to the 7th, where you split the 8th and 9th with Alvarado Dominguez. And that's what I thought he was going to do.
See,
that's not what he went with. He went
the
with
Phillies
Brogdon.
bullpen almost mirrors the Phillies offense in the sense that if you look at the individuals, it seems like none of them are pitching well, but at the same time, teams aren't really scoring against our pen. You know what I'm saying? Outside of the bullpen games where the bullpen pitches the whole game. But to me, I feel like our bullpen's been pretty good. I mean, Brad Hand broke down that one game, but other than that, I don't think that our bullpen's been awful. Do you guys?
Other than the 3 wild pitchers on Sunday with the rain and everything, I think they've been pretty well. I think 1 or 2 of them JT could have stopped, in my opinion, if he blocked it.
I was so waiting for somebody to say that.
Let me take this one because I play catcher. If Sir Anthony Dominguez throws 92, 93 miles an hour, absolutely JT Realmuto has an opportunity to slide in front of that and get that ball. At 101 miles an hour with the rain, by the time he realizes it's not a strike, he doesn't have time to drop his leg and block it. So telling a catcher that you should have scooped that there is nearly impossible.
I'm not saying scoop it. I'm saying put your body in front of it. You gotta.
That's what I'm telling you. Is there wasn't enough reaction time for him to do that.
I don't believe that. He's been doing it all year long.
Here's my take on it. Right. So as a former pitcher, there's one pitch in your arsenal as a pitcher that should never, ever, ever touch the dirt, and it's a fastball. Sir Anthony Dominguez cross-fired and missed his target by 2.5 feet, and all 3 of those pitches touched dirt. They were terrible pitches, and when you think about the fact that a 95-mile-an-hour fastball crosses the plate at 0.4 seconds from release, what do you think that 99-mile-an-hour fastball? JT's not going to be able to get in front of it. The ball shouldn't have been bounced anyway. And why are you missing your target by 21 plus inches? I mean, you can say JT probably should have gotten his body in front of it, but the entire scenario should have never happened because you can't be crossfiring and spiking your fastball. It was entirely on Sir Anthony Dominguez. I don't think that there's even a wiggle room to blame JT. That's just the way that I look at it from my experiences. Spiking a fastball as a pitcher is never a good idea.
If these are his hard sliders, I'm in. Absolutely. You're predicting it to go in the dirt. You should get your body in front of it. You should block it. Sure. These are fastballs.
99 miles. Nope.
I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying, but I hate to bring the other Nola in. Austin Nola did the same thing. He blocked his 100-mile-per-hour fastballs in the ground.
But they weren't 20. They didn't miss their spot by 21 inches.
One of them did.
You physically cannot move to get in front of that ball. If I'm set up on the outside corner, right, and I got my glove, there's no way. It's not physically possible. You would have to expect him to miss that spot by 21 inches.
Yeah, I agree. He shouldn't have missed that spot by 21 inches. I think there should have been a little bit more effort.
I think he gave maximum effort, and you and I watched those games from the same TV. Maybe it's like a rainbow scenario. No two
Best
people
catcher
ever see
in
the
baseball.
same rainbow. Now, JT Realmuto, we can sit here and debate whether he should have blocked those pitches or not. Could arguably win Phillies regular season MVP.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, without him, I don't think they're where they are.
Oh, no doubt. Absolutely no doubt.
No, I mean, if you think about it, when Bryce Harper went down, he was hitting what, 230 something, and then he all of a sudden ends the season with a 276 batting average, 22 home runs, 80 RBIs. That didn't come out of nowhere. It was silent too, and he struggled, and then all of a sudden it clicked for him. He was better defensively. He was better offensively. You could make an argument that JT Realmuto deserves to be the regular season MVP for the Phillies.
Oh, absolutely.
Actually, I don't think that there is an argument. I think he's the leading candidate. I think you'd have to make arguments for other people.
I mean, you got Schwarber who carried him for June.
You got Hoskins who carried him
through July. Bohm through August, but JT was good during.
But Bohm was good, JT was good June, July. He just wasn't better than those guys, which is why they got all the recognition.
That's my point.
Yeah.
No, we're in agreement there.
But anyway, so game 2, Bill and I are a little bit iffy on Tim. Think the Phillies going back to Philadelphia up 2-0, or
we got Wheel on the mound. At one point, I agree with Bill. If Nola wins game 1, let Wheeler get the start at home.
No, I agree with Ryan now because I want him ready for game 6 if it goes 6 games. I agree with Ryan now.
Okay, I get that. No, yeah, you're right. So I don't think they go back to Philly 2-0. I think it'd be 1-1 no matter what. But having the bullpen games in Philly is a big deal. It's a huge deal because the Philly crowd will go crazy no matter what and get into the other pitcher's mind somehow, some way, and it will help us in a way.
I don't know.
Listen, I Ranger's feeling it right now. Ranger came out and got those. I know he's not Lance McCullers. I'm not acting like he's Lance McCullers.
No. I don't know that he's feeling. I mean, he threw 2 pitches against the worst 2 hitters in the entire postseason at that point in time. I mean, is he feeling it? Because the one dude bunted on him.
Yeah, listen, Trent Grisham looked bad the entire NLCS. Now, listen, Brandon Marsh looked really bad at the plate the entire NLCS. He went 0 for 19, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But what I mean is when Ranger pitched at home, even the what did he pitch? 5 1/3 innings against the Padres?
I think it was 5, and then he gave up 1.
Yeah. That's a good start for Ranger Suarez. And that's all you're asking to get. If you can get through the Astros lineup through 5 innings and only give up 1 run, that's exactly what you want from Ranger Suarez. Give it to him. Give him the ball. Give it to him.
Well, let's see how he does.
I'd rather make sure that he's comfortable. Me personally, I understand why you would say that if we go up 1-0. I do, but I think that
No. I'm sorry. I meant to say like at home. Give Ranger the ball at home. Absolutely.
Yeah. Get the crowd to back Ranger up. Trust your guys to go win on the road.
I agree with that. Now you guys talked me into it that way.
If you're the Phillies, you want to get you need Ranger or Noah to give you a game that you can win, and then you're really relying on Aaron and Zach to give you the other 3. It's not like it's a secret to the success for the Phillies right now. You need Noah or Ranger to give you a win, a quality start that you win that game, and you're expecting to get 3 games out of Aaron and Zach. Listen, that's a recipe for success in my opinion, especially when the bullpen games are in Philadelphia.
That's the key right there is, can the Phillies shrink this to a 3-game series? And what I mean by that is when it's 2-2 each side, it then becomes a 3-game series. You've got Nola and Wheeler, one of which is going to pitch on the road. You have to win those games. And I'm talking game 5 and game 6, because you can, if it's all on Ranger Suarez in game 7 in Houston, by God, I don't even know if I'm going to watch that game, because I would just be so tense that would be the craziest thing of my life. But you paid these dudes, you gave them contracts, they got money, you're obviously going to pick up Nola's club option in the offseason. We'll talk about that for our offseason show. Oh man, dude, could you imagine that 3-3 and Ranger Suarez has the Phillies' fate in his hands? How nuts would that be?
He'd have a really short leash.
Yeah.
Nola would have 2 days rest, so he could give you a couple innings at that point.
Yeah, could.
At
So
that
yeah,
point, at that point,
honestly, I believe at that point, Ranger go. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
at that point, Ranger gives you 5 innings, and then you just turn it over. It's got to be Nola, it's got to be Seranthony, it's got to be Jose, maybe Robertson if you need 4 pitchers. Those are the only dudes that should be touching the rubber unless the game goes into extra innings. But there's no way in Game 7 scenario you just go to Ranger. You're like, good, give me 5 innings where I can win the game, and that's it.
Yeah, I noticed you didn't say Eflin. Eflin scared me so much and out of the bullpen.
I like Eflin not in a closer's role, but if we're talking about a Game 7 scenario, it's without a doubt Sir Anthony and Jose. I think that they're just a step above the other guys.
And honestly, if I'm Aaron Nola and it gets to Game 7, you're going to Ranger and you're saying, "Hey, get 5 innings and I'll take over. 2 days of rest, I don't give a shit."
I'll take the next 2. I'll bridge the gap to the big guns in the back end of the pen.
Correct. Yeah, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it, fellas.
Dude, Jose Alvarado versus Yordan Alvarez is going to be nuts. That is straight power on power because Yordan is a fantastic hitter.
Yeah, let's not forget. They got guys by the name of Jose Altuve, and they've got
Altuve was 0 for 24 at one point in the postseason.
Good. Let's keep him that way. He's still Jose Altuve. Let's not.
Bregman's hitting 333. He's got a good bat. Jordan's Jordan. To me, the rest of the lineup doesn't.
Jeremy
really
Pena.
Yeah, Pena had a good ALCS, fantastic, but he's a rookie too. So what do you expect from him?
Let's go over some stuff real quick for the Astros, then we'll get into the Phillies after we discuss this. So as a team in the regular season, they're hitting 12th in the majors in average, 7th in OBP, 5th in slugging, 7th in OPS, 8th in runs scored, 4th in home runs, 9th in walks, and they have the 2nd fewest strikeouts in baseball.
That's some good stats.
Those
regular season.
Some of them are middle of the range stats, though. You're talking not middle of the range, but middle of the range for the AL. You're talking 12th in batting average, 248 average during the regular season is not phenomenal. Listen, I realize the Phillies isn't super high either, but when you're talking about Nola and Wheeler, who are really good at getting guys out, that 248 becomes really small.
For the postseason, the Astros are hitting 227 with a 300 OBP and a 408 slugging. For comparison, the Phillies are hitting 237, whoop-de-doo, with a 307 OBP, a 442 slugging.
They've hit a lot of home runs. Rhys Hoskins had, 4 in the NLCS alone?
That's only 4 hits of the whole series.
They have 4 more home runs than the Astros playing 4 more games.
Yeah, the Astros swept all the games.
Teams, yeah. And the Phillies have the 2 extra games against the Cardinals.
The Astros are kind of home run or bust this postseason.
Yeah, and again, R2-8. I mean, Aaron Nola gives up home runs, but he's usually really good about staggering them. And this season, he's been significantly better than historically. So there, I mean, and outside of the 3rd inning or whatever it was, third or 4th inning in that Padres game, Nola has looked really good in the playoffs. Again, I'm going Aaron tomorrow night, regardless of their home run or bust situation there in Houston. The Phillies have looked that way at points this postseason. Yes, they found other ways to manufacture runs, but at points, they've looked like they're home run or bust.
The Phillies, by far, I mean, obviously they've played more games than everybody, but until I read out this stat, you won't understand. The Phillies have 23 doubles in the postseason in 11 games.
That's a lot of doubles.
Yeah.
Let's get into the regular season stats of the Phillies. I know that you're good at the postseason. That's what you want to talk about, but I wanted to do a comparison thing here.
Go ahead.
So as I discussed, team average in the AL, Astros were 12th, Phillies are 8th at 253. Again, that's 8 points higher than the Astros hit in the regular season. They're not outside of the top 10 in any of these categories. You're talking OBP 317, they were tied 9th, 422 6th. For slugging percentage, OPS 739, they were 8th. Runs scored 747, 7th. Home runs 205, 6th. And that's in the majors. That's not in the NL. That's in the majors.
This is with Bryce Harper missing 3 months. 2 months. Yeah. Sorry, 2 months.
Yes, their best player was missing 2.5 months this season. Yes, a lot of reporters are saying this is the most lopsided World Series matchup they've ever seen. Good. What happens when Philly are the underdogs? Good.
Underdogs. I saw something on Facebook the other day about that, like saying that the Phillies going to be the underdogs again, and someone made a whole video of it. What happened in 2017 when Philly was underdogs for the Super Bowl, the whole series.
I think it's more of a mindset for the city of Philadelphia. I'm not specifically pointing out one scenario, but Tim Hawk, yeah, you go. Hungry dogs eat, right? Yeah, Jason Kelsey. But it's like the determination of Philadelphia. And I'd hate to reference a movie here, obviously, but we're like Rocky is like the vibe of the city, right? The underdog who like manages to get it done. And it's just like the vibe of the city. And this is one of those scenarios where the Phillies are coming in, and I've said it already. Ryan kind of sort of said it. Cinderella story, right? This is one of those teams that wasn't supposed to be here last year. They wouldn't even have made the playoffs. How amazing is it going to be when that's the team that wins the World Series this year?
I've been to playoff games in both of these cities. I went to ALDS Game 5 in Houston in 2019, where they tagged Tyler Glasnow early and beat the Rays 6-1. I've been to the 2008 NLDS Game 1, where Cole Hamels spun 8 shutout innings against the Brewers. It ain't the same. I might be biased here, but I'm comparing a playoff game that I remember from 14 years ago to what I saw 4 years ago. It ain't the same. Houston's energy is not the same as the Phillies, especially given the circumstances. The Phillies were on a serious run. They were considered serious World Series contenders with an elite level offense in 2008. This is not what this team is considered. This team is considered a very serious underdog. And as you touched on, Bill, the energy of the city when we are considered serious underdogs is seriously different.
No doubt. I was disappointed when I got the Phillies email saying I was not able to buy a World Series ticket.
Oh, yeah, I lost my lottery tickets too, yeah.
That's some bull. I would have bought them at that point.
I don't know anybody that won. I've got a lot of friends in the Philadelphia area, and none of them won.
I have no friends.
I think a lot of season ticket holders bought all of them. So
we should probably hit up Jake from Talking 215. I bet he's got tickets.
No, actually, I think he does. But
hey, Facebook's working.
So I think
yeah, it worked yesterday too.
Yeah, did you not watch the show yesterday, Bill?
Of course he didn't. He didn't see my hot takes either.
Wasn't he giving you shit about not watching the show the other day, Tim?
I didn't even hear it, to be honest.
Because I wasn't watching the show.
I was doing
That's okay. When I'm not on, I don't watch the show either. So can't really.
It's just because I have so much faith in you guys to give a good show and a good product that I don't have to watch you. Do you want me to babysit?
Oh,
Daddy, can you hold my hand?
All right, fine. From now on, I'll just jump in and watch. I'll sit here on camera so everybody can see me just watching you guys.
That would be so awkward. But anyway,
I felt like that today trying to get my mic fixed.
I think the key, like I said, the key here is game 1. Do the Phillies still have the momentum that they built up throughout the entire playoffs? If Aaron Nola comes out, gets shelled, the Phillies look lifeless, I would love to sit here and tell you that they're going to bounce back. But to me, that's going to say a lot about this series.
I definitely agree with that, but I don't think that statement to be heard. I don't think the Phillies are going to be quiet. I think they're going to come out on fire and rip the cover off the ball from Justin Verlander. We're going to take Verlander out in 4 innings.
All right, so let's do it. Let's give it. Let's give your series predictions, right?
Well, do we want to do game 1 predictions and then series? Do we want to do game by game predictions, scores, who's winning, everything?
We can do that.
Let's do a little side bet, little gentleman's thing. Whoever gets it the most accurate.
Stacy, you watching? Can you get a document going?
All right. What's the punishment or the prize going to be, or whatever the case may be?
She didn't bring her laptop home.
I'm thinking whoever gets it the most right gets 3 free wins in our football bet.
I need that in my life.
Is that a good prize for everybody?
I say 4.
I know you say 4 because actually you're down by a lot more than 4 now.
No, let's go. Let's go 3. Let's go 3. What we'll do is we'll go score predictions, game by game, and that's all. We're not going to go into too much detail. Just not like how many innings Nola's going to pitch. None of that shit. Score predictions game by game. So game one, we've got Nola versus Verlander.
Tim, you go for game one. I'll go game two. Bill goes game three, so on and so forth.
Give me Nola. It's going to be a 5-2 game.
Damn, dude, you took the score I had in mind. So, you know what? I'm going to go real bold here. This is going to sound really crazy. I got the Phillies winning 7-2 in game one. I think that they open up that offense big time.
Make a statement. I love it.
I have already said that I'm going Nola. So I've also got the Phils. However, I've got a 5-3 game.
Okay.
Okay.
We for a tiebreaker, we're gonna or not a tiebreaker. We'll just do World Series MVP prediction at the end for sure.
Harper. No, I mean if Wheeler and Nola both pitch both games, it'll be different. So Ryan, you wanted to go first?
Yep. For game two, don't crucify me, Phillies fans watching. I got the Astros winning 3-2.
Go ahead, Bill.
Tim.
Now
No, it's me, right?
Yep.
Listen, it'd be glorious to come home 2-0, wouldn't it?
It would be. I just don't. The Astros are. I mean, they're in the World Series for a reason, right?
You're not taking 2 away from the Astros in the first 2 games. I'm also going to go Astros. However, I think it's one of those scenarios where Rob Thompson doesn't put the bullpen that we want him to put in, and they lose by a score of 6-2.
Okay, I am also going the Astros. I think Wheeler's going to get tied up a little bit. I'm going to go with the same score, 5-2 area, 5-3.
5-2 or 5-3, Tim?
I'll go 5-3.
Okay.
Okay.
Game 3 is me. I think they bounce back. I think Ranger pitches really well. Gives them 5, maybe 6 even solid innings, 6+ possibly. I also believe the bats reawaken, much like some of their other losses this postseason. The following game, the bats come alive. Give me the Phillies in a 8-3 victory.
Spicy.
I am going a different route. I think the Phillies still win, but I think it's going to be a 0-0 game going into the bottom of the ninth. A walk-off hit. 1-0.
1-0. Ryan.
For game 3, energy in the crowd, man. I'm going to love it. Phillies take that one home 4-1.
Game 4, Tim.
Who's pitching? It's Syndergaard and who?
It's Syndergaard versus what is likely going to be.
Did they announce Syndergaard starting game 4?
They did.
I texted in the group the other day.
Are they going to stretch him out in the time off?
I think game 4 would be Framber Valdez versus Noah Syndergaard.
Well, Framber should go game 3.
McCullers wouldn't go game 3?
McCullers should go game 2.
I thought you said Javier would go game 2.
Oh, yeah. No, I guess Javier would probably go. Damn, dude, that's a stacked pitching.
That's a starting rotation right there.
I guess Valdez would probably go game 2, McCullers game 3, and then Javier game 4 would be my guess.
Give me the Phils. Another close one. It's going to be a 5-4 game.
Okay.
Ryan.
Give me the Astros 6-5.
Close game. I like it.
Yeah.
Give me the Astros 3-1. Game 5.
Aaron, my
Tim,
son.
You've got the Phils up 3-1.
I know.
Aaron, my
Game
son.
5 in Philly. Aaron Nola pitches.
You will be blessed by the ghost of Roy Halladay. And you will spin 7 shutout innings to defeat the Astros 3-1 in game 5.
I'm also going Phillies here. I wanted 3-1, but I don't want to do that to you. I'll say 4-2. This way, it's still a two-run deficit. Tim, Phillies in 5. Okay, all right.
It's tough.
Reminiscent of 2008, baby. Talk about Aaron Nola being like Cole Hamels.
Phillies in 5.
Yeah, give me Phillies in 5. It's gonna be a good game, like Ryan said, and Roy Halladay going to come down. It's gonna be. To be honest, I think the Phils tee off on Justin Verlander again. Give me a 6-1 victory.
Okay, so Timmy's got the Phils in 5. Ryan and I are still on the board. Game 6. Ryan. It's
Wheeler.
me. Zach Wheeler comes in and shuts them down for 8 solid innings in Houston. Phillies win this game 5-0, and the Phillies win in 6.
I'm going Phils win in 6, but I think they take game 6 3-2 behind Wheeler's 6+ strong innings.
All right, so Timmy's got the Phillies in 5. We all have Phillies game 1. We all have Astros game 2. Timmy has the following 3 for the Phillies. They never leave Philadelphia. And Ryan and I both have them going back to the Astros in Houston and Zach Wheeler pitching a gem against whoever they start, and the Phillies coming out on top in 6. Phillies in 6. You heard it here, probably not first.
I don't know if you guys remember this or not because it was some time ago at this point. The Mets were in the World Series. Zach Wheeler had not pitched that postseason because he was recovering from Tommy John surgery. Do you remember where he watched those World Series games that his Mets were playing in?
From his couch, because they didn't want to buy him a ticket.
They didn't even want him near the team. They wouldn't bring him on the road. He wasn't allowed to sit in the dugout. They wouldn't put him in a suite. Nothing. I think that Bryce Harper and Zach Wheeler have the most to prove to their former squads in this World Series. And for me, those two step up. Now, because Zach Wheeler isn't going to pitch every game, my World Series MVP, Mr. Bryce Harper.
Timmy?
See, I like that MVP pick there, Ryan. Well,
so really, it's only because you have a completely different outcome. Really, only Ryan and I need to pick an MVP. But you can tell us who yours is.
I'm gonna.
If the Phils win in 5, you've won.
Jesus, can you let me talk?
Go.
So, I'm gonna go. I thought you were gonna cut me off again. That's why I didn't say anything.
Well, I was going to, but then you lagged.
That's the whole point.
Noob.
Give me JT Realmuto behind the plate
that was my runner-up. That was my runner-up.
That's what I was going to take.
Yeah, I mean, you can still take the same MVP. I mean, we could all pick Bryce Harper for crying out loud.
I like my JT pick.
I do like the JT pick, but the Phillies don't win if Bryce Harper doesn't play. If Harper doesn't play well, I think it's over. So, yeah, give me Bryce Harper.
I think Nola and Wheeler pitch well enough that they could be talked about. However, the way that Thompson's been managing them, they're just not going to go deep enough into the game and log enough innings and 2 starts to make an impact enough for me.
See, that was my next question for you guys. How long do you think Nola gets tomorrow?
Is he pitching like he did 2 weeks ago?
No more than 7 innings, but regardless of how he's pitching, I think he could get it, though.
Yeah, so for me, it's 7 because then you turn it over to those guys. Alvarado, Dominguez, so 7.
Okay. I was thinking 8. No, 7. I like 7. Yeah, 7.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like Rob Thompson wants these guys to go into the 8th inning.
They're coming back. He's going to have to pitch
in a different game.
I was just about to say that. He's going to have to pitch game 5.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Listen, I still think Wheeler pitches really good in game 2. I just think the bullpen gives it up.
They still haven't announced who's going to throw out the first pitches in Philly. It can't be. I mean, the first 3 people that need to be asked are Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley, and Cole Hamels, right? Like Howard's already thrown one out. Stairs has always thrown one out. They have to be those. It has to be those 3, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
My gut says
Big Charlie.
absolutely it's got to be those three guys. There's a petition going around right now for Nick Foles to throw out the first pitch in one of them games. And listen, I would love that, but for me, it's got to be a baseball relationship there. So I think it's got to be Cole Hamels. I think it's got to be
They're 5-0
Chase Utley.
5-0 at home, and all 5 of those games, 2008 World Series members throwing out the first pitch. You can't.
Correct.
I mean, baseball's the most superstitious sport there is. You can't go ahead and change that now. Oh, we have a comment from Mr. Kyle.
Says, I still don't understand. I still don't get why they had J-Roll and Pedro at the Yankees game.
I hate the Yankees, and I never really followed it too much into it. That's pretty funny, though, considering J-Roll and Pedro never played for the Yankees, and Pedro definitely playing for their biggest rival. But
what did the old man messaging down here? 7.
So the old man is saying that the series goes 7. I can understand Dad saying the series goes 7. He's saying the Phillies win, and he's calling Rhys Hoskins the MVP.
Okay, I got it now.
Yeah. To answer the J-Roll Pedro thing, I think it's just like ABC hired a handful of veterans to come back and do like pregame shows. But I agree. I don't know why J-Roll or Pedro was there, especially since both played for the Phillies and neither of them played for the Yankees.
That and they had Michael Kay, who's the Yankees play-by-play announcer, calling Phillies games against the Braves.
Don't they have A-Rod too calling the games?
Dude, I hate
A-Rod works for Fox, so that's different.
Okay. A-Rod is the worst announcer. And honestly, you know what? As much as we give slack to these dudes in football, A-Rod's the worst announcer in sports. I can't stand that dude.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I mean, I would listen to Collinsworth. Now, here's a guy me to death before I ever listen to a game, called by Alex Rodriguez ever again.
Every time he says, now here's a guy, I just want to never mind. Don't worry about it. Also, I'm not a huge fan of Buck and Aikman either. And doesn't Buck do the World Series?
You know what? I like what Buck stands for because Buck does every single massive sporting event in America. So what Joe Buck represents, it means, hey, there's something real good on TV right now, like the World Series or the NFC title game. But
that's fair.
I don't hate Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. Look, Troy Aikman, as annoying as he gets in terms of, just relating everything to his Cowboy days, he's pretty fair across the board. Like I've listened to him call Cowboys games, and he's like, these dudes suck equally as everybody else does.
Yeah, I hear him saying that.
That's fair.
And just like John Smoltz, like people were the Phillies fans were really hating on John Smoltz. I didn't get that either. I thought he was pretty good. I mean, he was annoying in what he was saying, but he wasn't showing, too much favoritism in my opinion. I thought he was pretty level-headed.
I don't know that I felt that. I feel like the Fox broadcast team was clear and above rooting for the Padres. Every time something good happened for the Padres, they were super ecstatic. And when it happened for the Phillies, other than the Harper home run, it wasn't as much excitement. I think there was a clear bias there. So I'm going to disagree with you.
I think there's more to talk about with the Padres because they have Machado and Soto, whereas the Phillies have Harper. But
yeah, I definitely agree with that. They really only talked about Machado and Soto often. The other guys in the regular
to an annoying amount. Like it was annoying. Like it got to the point where it was annoying.
See, I don't agree with that.
But think about casuals watching, that game because nothing else is on. Machado and Soto are going to sell the sport to people. Those are the faces of baseball. Your big ticket, your money guys. Like it's just like we like it because he's on our team, but they incessantly ranted about Bryce Harper too. Like. It's just who's going to sell the ticket.
You're right.
They even ran it about Kyle Schwarber. Like they gave other people time.
But not as much. I swear to you, every other line had something to do with Soto. Go back and watch the NLCS and just listen to it. I don't like Soto. You're right, which is why I would notice if every other line was about Juan Soto.
I agree with Tim. I think it's a little confirmation bias. And I have rewatched the NLCS. I've rewatched one pitch 126,000 times. You know what pitch that was? A 2-2
run
sinker at the belt, hit the other way to left field. Have you heard it with the Moneyball music? That shit gives me
Yes,
chills,
I
man.
heard.
Yes.
Did you hear it with the? Did you hear the thing that I posted to the group earlier?
Yes.
That was awesome too. All right, we got a little off topic here at the end. However, obviously we're excited to talk Phillies because they're in the World Series. We're gonna cut it. We're gonna cut it off here. You guys got any closing statements before I sign us out?
Go Phils.
Go Phils. I can't wait for our offseason show when we talk about them winning the World Series and the fact that I'm going to leave you guys on a cliffhanger. The Phillies only have $129 million committed to the payroll next year, which is $103 million less than they are spending right now. So I will leave you guys on that cliffhanger. Let your imaginations run wild with that.
That's going to do it here for, well, go Phillies, obviously. That's going to do it for us here on BSing Sports, part of the BSing Network, where we do a little BS and we talk a whole lot of sports. Have a good night.